conference chair with this year's conference. So if you guys have anything to complain about, come to me or my twin brother, and there's two of us. With great honor and pleasure, I want to welcome you all to the 18th annual MSA West Conference titled Back to the Fitra, Revitalizing the Hearts of the Believers. To kick off our show, or I guess to kick it off, we're going to have our very own Vice President come up and speak. And now before he gets up here, he's really on top of it. I want to share a quick few words about him. So, Vice President Keith Humphreys, he's the Vice President of Student Affairs at Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo. Honestly, this conference would have not happened without him. Anytime we saw an obstacle that seemed impossible and everyone said it was impossible, we went to him and he listed off all the solutions and said, Elian, go and come back to me at my office hours next week and let's see what the next problem is. And through the process since February, we've hit a lot of roadblocks, but it's been through Vice President Keith Humphreys' help and his motivation and his goals towards Cal Poly and its students that's made this conference a reality, as well as all the conference organizers and all the volunteers out there. So without any further ado, I invite Vice President Keith Humphreys for a few words.
Thank you very much, Alian. Please, all throughout this weekend, honor this young man and the entire team here at Cal Poly who have done such a fantastic job since February to prepare to welcome you and celebrate this wonderful conference. When he said to me in February we want to host it, we said absolutely yes. We are 100% all in, and like he said, he has come visited me every single week to plan and to help, and I've been doing it for many reasons, but mostly because of the donuts that he promised me. So we're going for donuts after this. But it is a true, absolute true honor to have all of you celebrate here at Cal Poly this weekend. I met many students who said we're so honored to be here, but really it's a true honor for us to host the MSA West Conference here at Cal Poly. It's the first time it's happened in a CSU. We are really proud of that. We're really glad that you're here. This is a fantastic community. Every person is excited that you're here and are eager to welcome you. Hopefully you get a chance to get off campus also. After you've explored our beautiful campus, you get a chance to check out San Luis Obispo and the wonderful area. Everybody downtown is excited to host you and show you what a wonderful and welcoming community this is. I want to introduce a few people that are here. I can't see really anything because the lights are so bright, so I'm counting on they're still here. Alian gave me a lot of credit, which oh wow, the lights got better. I can see you all. Hi. Wish if I said that in other settings, if that would work. It wouldn't. Like Alian said, I'm really proud to host you here, but there have been many folks here at Cal Poly. You'll meet some of them tonight that have been part of the opportunity to help and host you. But I want to introduce two people who are in the back. First is our Dean of Students, Dr. Joy Peterson. Are you here, Joy? Wave. She's in the back. And our Director of University Diversity and Inclusion, Dr. Jean DaCosta, is in the back. So once we are all honored again that you're here, we hope you have an absolutely fantastic time. We hope that every one of you goes home wearing a Cal Poly t-shirt or sweatshirt, back to wherever you study. We want to thank you for contributing your voices to our community this weekend. What you have to offer us is very important. It is very powerful. And again, you honor us by your presence here. So have a wonderful conference. Thank you again for being at Cal Poly.
Thank you, Vice President. I'll definitely take you up on that donut offer, and you're definitely buying. All right, next up, we have the Chief of the University Police Department, Chief George Hughes. We invited him to share a few words over here, and essentially to offer the feeling of comfortability to all our attendees, so that you guys can enjoy and learn and benefit from this event at Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo. Chief Hughes.
Hello, everyone. I just have to get something straight here. I heard donuts, which then I just start, how scouts are, right? It's true, every single word. Thank you so much. First, thank you to everyone here. Thank you for letting me come and just speak a few minutes while you kick off this amazing and wonderful event. I hope you have an incredible time while you're here. But on behalf of all the men and women in the police department, the Department of Public Safety, and everyone here at Cal Poly, welcome to Cal Poly. Welcome to San Luis Obispo. It's a truly wonderful place, so please, I hope you get to it while you're here. I know you have a event. Your event is just packed full of great activities, so please spend a little bit of time, hopefully spending some time around campus and also here in San Luis Obispo. Again, I'm Chief of Police here, and I just want to let you know that it is our goal to try to make this as wonderful and welcoming and safe event as possible for you. You will see several of my police officers throughout the event on the weekend just walking around and driving around just to make sure that everyone in this event has an experience that is not interrupted one bit. So I'm not going to take up any more time. I know you have a wonderful lineup this evening. Again, welcome to Cal Poly and have a wonderful time while you're here.
Thank you, Chief Hughes. Like I've been telling all my fellow Cal Poly students, if you see a police officer, they don't bite, go ahead and take a selfie. They're pretty cool. All right. Next up, I wanted to invite the MSA West President, Bashar Soubey. Join us from the sister school, Cal Poly Pomona.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. So as Aliyah mentioned, my name is Bashar Soubey. I am the current MSA West President. I go to Cal Poly Pomona. But tonight I want to keep this short, but I would like to mention a story of Malik bin Dinar. So Malik bin Dinar was a sinful person who was an alcoholic and he was drowning in his sins. Malik had a young daughter whom he loved more than anything in the world. She would be always on his lap, but he would always drink while she was on his lap. And anytime she would be on his lap and she would see him drinking, she would push away the alcohol from his hand, pouring the drink. So one night, Malik fell asleep, drunk without praying, Aisha. He had a dream of the Day of Judgment, and he had come to the people from the people who had risen from their graves, and everyone is moving towards the meeting place. So while Malik was standing with the people, he heard a noise behind him. And it was a snake that was, or a huge beast that was chasing after him. And it just kept going and going, and people were just moving away so he can get to Malik. Malik began to run. While running, he ran into an old man dressed in all white, and he smelled very nice, like musk. And he told him, Assalamu alaikum, and asked him for help. The man wasn't able to help him, and he told him to run. I'm an old man, I can't help you. He kept running until he reached a cliff which overlooked Jahannam. And he heard a voice from above that said, Malik, go back. You are not among its inhabitants. This comforted him, but then he realized that the snake was still chasing after him. So he decided to turn around and run in the other direction. So while he was running, he ran into the old man again. And he asked him for help again. The old man began to cry. He's like, I am weak. I go towards the mountain, and there are Muslim children who died at a young age. and if your children is one of them, they might be able to help you. So he kept running towards this old mountain until he lost the snake, and then the angel that was at the mountain started to call all the children to see if one of his children is among these kids. So the children kept coming and coming in many groups, and then the snake getting closer and closer and closer. And then finally, a little girl comes out, and I answer by Allah that this is my father. She threw herself on him, and then with her left hand, the same way that she would knock over the alcohol, pushed away the snake. And this was enough to repel the snake, and it ran away. So she sat her father down and she recited an ayat to him from Surah Al-Hadid. أَلَمْ يَأْنِ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَن تَخْشَعَ قُلُوبُهُم لِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ وَمَا نَزَلَ مِنَ الْحَقِّ. Isn't it not time for the believers to soften their hearts upon hearing the name of Allah and the recitation of the Quran? He then asked her, you children know Quran? You died at a young age. She said that we are more knowledgeable than you. She said that the snake was stronger, represented your sins, and it was strong because you sinned many times. And the old man dressed in all white represented your good deeds, and it could not help you because you had few. And he then woke up vowing that he would stop drinking alcohol. And that next morning, when he woke up, he went to Fajr, and the first thing that he heard while the Imam was reciting was أَلَمْ يَأْنِ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَن تَخْشَعَ قُلُوبُهُم لِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ. So the story that we should take from this that relates back to our theme and our title of our conference, Back to the Fitra, is that never give up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no matter what deeds you have, will forgive you. That returning back to the Fitra, returning back to the most pure state, is something that only you can do. That no matter how much dua you make, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only one that can return you back to that pure state. So inshallah, you use this conference not as a tool to make, oh, I'm going to come out of this conference clean and all my sins are going to disappear. No, that does not happen. This happens by you taking the initiative, by you trying to become better, by removing bad habits, and making the intention and renewing your intentions constantly throughout this weekend, that you want to come out of this conference a better person, that you come out of this conference better than the day you came out today. So I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows us all to enjoy this conference with pure intentions, to benefit from each one of these speakers. And I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gathers us in a gathering like this in Jannah, inshallah. وسبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفر ونتوب إليك. جزاكم الله خير.
Jazakallah khair, Rashad. Next up, I want to invite onto the stage the Cal Poly Muslim Student Association President, Salar Malik. They can't hear us back there.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah. Qala rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. It's a little bit awkward when you're asked to give a welcome speech, but you're the fifth speaker in a welcome rotation. Just because after about the second speaker welcomes you, people start to lose interest. This is mainly because everyone at this point has already started to feel pretty comfortable. So by the time I get here, my role is just to kill time for everyone to get warmed up for Ramadan Khan. So instead of this, as president of this school chosen to host this distinguished conference, I'll be giving you two pieces of advice. The first will be what not to do this weekend. I repeat, don't do this weekend. The second piece of advice will be what to do this weekend. So the first issue you may have already encountered on your way in here. You see someone wearing a foreign MSA shirt. And immediately you start sizing them up. Brothers start doing this weird like action thing, like trying to make them seem they have some sort of non-existent muscle development. It's just bad. Sisters, hijabis start looking at other hijabis. Oh, she's got a double band? Who does she think she is? And really, this game of attempting to one-up each other leads us to making statements of pride, statements of kibr, statements like, I'm better than him, I'm better than her. Which brings us to that original incident that brought us in this predicament to begin with, that incident that occurred in Surah Baqarah. Allah has just created this strange being out of clay, this strange being none other than our father Adam alayhi salam. And he immediately instructs the angels to bow to him. Now, just a quick aside, because the angels are creatures created out of light, created out of nur. And just doing some basic deduction here. Since we don't have light engineering as a major offered at any school, I'm assuming that most would assume that light is a more difficult object to mold a creature out of. So logic would tell us that angels should be superior to man, correct? However, it's not what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does. He tells the angels to bow to Adam, this creature he has created out of clay. And I say creature with all the utmost respect to our father Adam. And so the angels all bow, except of course, Iblis. This is our choice. We can either treat each other with dignity and respect, and not as a bundle of organic cells and matter and all that, but rather the ruh, the soul, and truly see each other as beautiful creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or we can follow the way of Iblis and refuse to respect. Why? Because of his pride, because of his malice, because of his incorrect deduction. I am better than him. I am made from nar. I am made from fire, the flames. He's made from dirt. How many times do we catch ourselves doing this to each other? How many times do we do this with our brothers and sisters? We look at each other and go, what is he wearing? I'm wearing something better. What is she wearing? I'm wearing something better. I have a better cloth than him or her. We get into this game where we are literally repeating the words of Iblis with synonymous statements. He said, I'm made of fire, he's made from clay. We say something else. It's nothing better. We are at the same level. Too much of this in the world today. Too much of this in the Muslim world today. Too much of this in the Muslim youth today. So how do we counter this? Well, thank you. This brings me to my second point. There are approximately 1,000 of us in attendance tonight and this weekend. I like 1,000 because it leads us to simple math for what I'm about to say. Inshallah, I think it's more than 1,000. But let's just keep it at 1,000. So according to the always voracious statistical data compilation site of Ask.com, the average American will physically meet 10,000 people in their lifetime. 10,000 people is a lot of people. So if every one of us can positively impact the lives of just 10 people, I'm not asking 10,000, just 10. Just 10 people. And those 10 people go out and change the lives of another 10 people. And those 10 people go out and change the lives of another 10 people. Then in 5 generations, which is about 125 years, we will have started the change this weekend that leads to the positive impact of over 100 million people. While in danger of copying the slogan of America's angriest tomato, that's a Donald Trump joke. Let's make the Ummah great again. I do have to do a welcome, so Assalamu alaikum, welcome to Cal Poly.
Thank you, Salar. I love having this guy talk. So I came up here with a few notes on a box, a piece of a pizza box. And if some of the faculty and administrators know me, then they know that I take notes on random things. I showed up to a meeting once that was going to determine quite a few important things for this conference, and I had notes on my on a paper plate. And we joked that I had a lot on my plate. And whatever, Salah, I'm not funnier than you, okay? Let's cue the projector. Guys in the back. Look at that, guys. Cal Poly. next speaker, who's essentially going to introduce the theme for this year's conference. Again, that's titled Back to the Fitra, if you haven't noticed. He's going to be introducing the theme for this year's conference, is Imam Musa Abdullah. He's the current Imam of San Luis Obispo. He's had a bachelor's in community leadership from Pennsylvania State University. That's Penn State, I didn't realize. And then he's currently working on I just want to give a quick shout out about this guy. He's a pretty sweet guy. Got to know him over the last several months, and wallahi, this guy, he's got his etiquettes down. Anyways, just want to give a quick shout out about him. He's currently working on a blog, and I suggest you guys check it out. It's youtube.com/Musa Vlogs. Check that out, and Musa, if you want to join us on stage, we can get started.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. We're going to do this TEDx style, inshallah. Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa mustafa, wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. We begin in the name of God, most gracious and most merciful. We send our peace and blessings on the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And we know, we bear witness that there is no movement except that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows it. So before we start, I wanted to recite the Fatiha with everyone, inshallah, in one voice, with one powerful voice, inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. Allah accept, inshallah. More thinking. So welcome everyone to the 18th annual MSA West conference here in Sloan, inshallah. We're really proud of what the MSA West has put up, and for all of you for coming here, inshallah. So many of you know that this is probably the first time that San Luis Obispo experienced this many Muslims at once. So, people are going to be wondering, where did all these beautiful Muslims come from? And so we need to keep in mind that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, "Kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat lin-nas." You are indeed the best nation sent out to people. Meaning, we need to uphold the best character while we're here, the time that we're here, and be prophetic, inshallah. You are the leaders of today, dear brothers and sisters, not the leaders of tomorrow alone, but also the leaders of today. So, just another reminder before we start the slideshow that you're literally walking on angel wings. If you read this hadith narration by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, narrated in Tirmidhi and Dawood, that the one who walks to seek knowledge, the angels lay down their wings for them. The fish in the sea and the birds in the sky pray for them. For you are on the path of seeking knowledge, and therefore God will make the path of paradise easier for you. And here are some halal spots that I want to take. And our mosque. So to begin, I'm here to talk to you about the Fitra, which inshallah Ustad Rahman Ali Khan will elaborate on. But the Fitra is translated to primordial nature. When I think of Fitra, I think of an infant, innocent, knowing of God. And here's an example of how infants know God and how we're born with this knowledge of God. If you were to, for example, put a block of cubes or toys in front of a baby, an infant who still has not yet learned to speak, and you were able to do it without them seeing you, they would still ask the question, who put that there? Who put that there? They would still ask that question. And so the question is, who put that there? We already know. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's something ingrained within us at birth. Allah tells us that He's the friend of those who believe, that He takes us from darknesses into light. And so, no one is born without knowledge of God. Indeed, those are the Padawans right there. We're all born with light. All of us are born with knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Indeed, Allah tells us that He has created us in the best of forms. لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. And God meant that. If we look at the human body, we find that the order in which our organs are placed in our body is also essential. This right here indicates that our mind has been placed above our hearts. And both our mind and our hearts have been placed above our desires, stomachs and privates. And so if we look at the prayer, the first step of the prayer is standing up. This is a step in which our minds are placed above our hearts. The first step we term Islam. When people first come to Islam, it's a mental game. They're still learning how to do wudu. They're still learning the steps of prayer, the time of prayer, the way to fast. All of these things are new, and their mind is in overdrive. But we are not meant to stay in that place forever. For the next step is the balance. The mind-heart equilibrium. This is step 2 of your spiritual development, that you advance to Iman, where your mind and your heart are equal. You've been praying for a while, making wudu for a while. All of a sudden you're making wudu, you're already finished, and you weren't even thinking about it. This means that you're getting to a point where you're ready for the last step of the spiritual path, heart of the mind. Ihsan. And this is essentially the most important aspect of our tradition, where our mind has been trained enough that our heart is now ready to take over. Dear brothers and sisters, going back to the Fitra is going back to our hearts and purifying our hearts, which is an ocean. Your heart is an ocean, dear brothers and sisters, which is connected to many rivers. We're going to talk about 7 of those rivers today. As you can see, those rivers are the eyes, the ears, the mouth, the lips, the feet, the hands, and the stomachs and the privates. Starting with river number 1. If we look at river number 1, it's the eyes. Your eyes has one door. Each eye has a door. You can choose to close that door and open it. You can try right now. You have command. God has given you command over closing and opening your eyes. He gave you that choice. And these are the things that if you look at, they will purify that river. So if you look at the Kaaba, if you look at your parents and you smile, if you look at your friends and you smile, if you look at nature, teachers, the Quran, these are all ways to purify this river. The second river has 2 doors. And that river is the tongue. It has 2 doors, the lips, right? And then the jail bars, your teeth, to keep that tongue back, because it's one of the most powerful weapons you have. And the tongue is only good for very few things, like reading Quran, silence, spreading peace, bringing people together, teaching the proper way. The third river has no doors. This is where you are most vulnerable. You can literally hear someone behind you. You would have to turn to see someone, but to hear is from behind you. This is why Shaitan's weapon is waswas. He will just whisper. There's no way you can close. There's no way you can close the ears. So what you can do to make your ears powerful is to listen to good things such as Quran, silence, for example. These are things that will guide you to having proper rivers that pour into the ocean, which is your heart. Now the 4th and the 5th rivers are the hands and the feet. The feet symbolize where you go, and the hands symbolize what you do. And finally, rivers 6 and 7 are the stomach and the privates. And as we said, there's an order of importance. So the question we have here is, what are we pouring into our hearts? We're all born with pure hearts. We're all born with hearts that are unadulterated by the world. Our eyes are newly seeing everything for the first time. And many of you are still young enough to still go back to that Fitra state, that primordial nature. God says to us on that day, when their tongues, their hands, and their legs, and their feet will bear testimony to what they used to do. May Allah protect us and allow our limbs to only bear testimony to that which is good. Say Ameen. Ameen. And so this leads us to what we can do about it. Nothing, dear brothers and sisters, is coincidence. When we make wudu, we are cleaning these rivers. You're cleaning the eyes, you're cleaning the tongue, you're cleaning the arms, you're cleaning the ears. And then when you go into prayer, you're also cleaning these rivers. When we pray, we fix our eyes. We also recite Quran with our tongues. We listen to Quran with our ears. And so when we're in prayer, we're cleaning the rivers. It's like our meditation. It's like our cleansing. We need it. It's our medicine. We need it because we're inundated with all of these things bombarding us in our eyes, in our ears, in our hearts. Everything is competing for our hearts. When we turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala 5 times a day and we clean ourselves, we place our hands in a position, whether you pray with your hands down, whether you pray with them on your heart, whether you pray with them Hanafi way, whichever way, you're still fixing your hands, you're holding them to teach them the strength, and same with your feet. And then for the stomachs and the privates, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us fasting. When we fast, especially those who are not yet married, as students, you're not encouraged to fast, but you should try once every while. This way you can cleanse your desires and you can also control yourself. So as Muslims, we're always purifying ourselves and always returning to the Fitra, at least 5 times a day. So just a little lighter note here. Just on the side of desires in the heart and weaknesses of the heart. As we said, our heart is what we need to purify. You guys thought SpongeBob was just is deeper than you thought. So yeah, this is it right here. And people ask me all the time, how is SpongeBob lustful? He's very curious, and curiosity is a lust of the mind, as they say. So being curious is it's a good thing when it comes to knowledge, but not to other things that are beyond boundaries. And so here are this is the medicine for the sin. You have pride, which we said Sandy had, which means that you probably a squirrel underwater. You can cleanse that with humility. You have covetousness, which is Mr. Krabs. Everybody already knows that. You counting those pennies. You have to be generous, right? Then you have lust, which is cleared by chastity. And then you have anger, which everybody knows is Squidward. By that picture, you can tell he's really angry right now. And you can clear that by meekness, by realizing that we're all created weak. No matter how much you bump in the gym, we're all weak, in front of Allah's eyes. He can take, so we have to stay humble. And then gluttony, which is actually, you would have never seen it coming. Gary's, he's putting all this food for him, he just eats it, right? Gluttony, one way to clear that is temperance. And then envy, which is plankton, he's always envious of the crusty crab. And one way to clear that is charity. And then finally, slothfulness, which is Patrick, of course. And one way to clear that is diligence. And so, dear brothers and sisters, God has never sent a disease except that He sent a cure for it. And so there is a dark and there is a light. Indeed. How do we go back to the Fitra? By going back to the prayer. Jazakallah khair, may Allah bless you
Thank you, Imam. We have a few minutes to spare, and I wanted to see what schools are representing here at the conference. UC Merced, really preparing UC Merced over everyone else. Where's UCLA at? UC is leading. The sisters always show up. What was that? Was that a college? Was it high school in the back? All 5 of them are happy. Sweet. Jazakallah khair, Musa. Thank you for starting us off. Before I introduce the next speaker, I want to talk about a little bit of my experience at the Cal Poly MSA. Freshman year, it was chaotic. It was just chaos. Second year, we got better. Third year, we're chilling. And now we're here. And part of our meetings, we adopted this like new series of the YouTube videos. We would watch it like 30 seconds. We couldn't do more than 30 seconds. I guess the members didn't have enough stamina to do more than 30 seconds. Gradually increased. But we started watching Quranic gems. This YouTube series narrated by Ustad Naman Ali Khan. We started getting to know what this book is that Islam, that Muslims use as their guideline. We started learning the ins and outs of it and some miracles of it. Essentially, Quranic gems. For us, to be hosting this conference at Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo, it's amazing that we're able to have Ustad Naman Ali Khan be one of our speakers. And with Imam Musab starting us off, inshallah we can begin with the rest of this conference with our first speaker, Ustad Naman Ali Khan. Now before he joins us on stage, you guys can clap right when I end, because it makes me feel good. I'm going to go over a little bit of his bio in case you guys are not familiar with him. Naman is the founder and the CEO of Bayyina, as well as the lead instructor for a number of Bayyina courses, including the fundamentals of classical Arabic and divine speech. His first exposure to Arabic studies was in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, where he completed his elementary education. He continued Arabic grammar study in Pakistan, where he received a scholarship for ranking among the top 10 scores in the National Arabic Studies Board examinations in 1993. His series of training in Arabic began in the United States in 1999 under Dr. Abdul Samia, founder and former principal of Quran College, Faisalabad, Pakistan, who happened to be touring the US for an intensive lecture through tafsir and Arabic studies. Under Dr. Abdul Samia, Naman developed a keen methodical understanding of Arabic grammar. He further benefited from Dr. Abdul Samia by internalizing his unique teaching methods and later translating his work into English for the benefit of his own students. Naman has served as a professor of Arabic at Nassau Community College until 2006 and has taught modern standard and classical Arabic at various venues for nearly 10 years with over 10,000 students nationwide. He currently resides in Texas, USA, and is focusing on teaching his students and developing media content for Bayyina TV. He was recently listed among the top 500 most influential Muslims in the world. And honestly, this bio can go on. But with that, I'm just going to end it off and introduce our next speaker, Ustad Naman Ali Khan.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for that. Okay, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. ثم أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة وإن كانوا من قبل لفي ضلال مبين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي آمين يا رب العالمين. ثم أما بعد. So a couple of things. I am pretty nervous to be here. I don't really speak well in front of student crowds. They make me nervous. I speak around old people most of the time. And alhamdulillah, I haven't done MSA programs for quite some time, but I've had an infatuation with MSA West for a long time. Us people from the East Coast have that. So alhamdulillah. But I'm really glad to have this opportunity to speak with all of you, inshallah. The talk that I've been given, I was asked to choose a topic, and I chose something that's, to me, is pretty important. And it's part of the translation of an ayah of the Quran. When you zaki him and he purifies them. It's a description of our Prophet ﷺ, and one of the roles that he plays for the Ummah is his role is to purify people, right? And I think many of you that have been around Islamic circles, lectures, talks, you've probably heard many times the idea of purification of the heart, purification of the soul, spiritual cleansing. You've heard these kinds of things, this terminology being used often, right? I've been trying to study Islam in one way or the other with a special focus on the Quran and the history around the Quran for about the last 15 years. And I've gone through many different teachers, and I continue to be a student. I am not a scholar by any stretch of the imagination. But whatever little that I've learned all this time, I've come up with certain conclusions. So I'm going to share one of those conclusions with you before I begin this conversation. My conclusions will begin with an analogy, which will have nothing to do with Islam. It's probably un-Islamic. But bear with me, okay? You've got yourself, let's say somebody's into basketball, and they like playing basketball. But when they go to a court to, just shoot around, there are people that are actually from a college basketball team that are playing there. There are some other people that are just every weekend they get a chance and they shoot some hoops. There are people at different levels playing on the same court, right? And if you get advice about, how to play or how to train or how to practice for, bettering your shot, depending on who you talk to, they're going to give you far more intense advice. Somebody who's trying out for the NBA, the training they go through is far more rigorous than somebody who plays once a month with his colleagues, after work or something. And they're both playing basketball, but the level of intensity and the expectations are completely different. The same thing goes for something like working out or exercising, right? For somebody, getting on a treadmill is Olympic. And then there are other people who, they spend 3-4 hours in the gym and then they feel like they haven't done enough. And they're rigorous about their diet because they're competing for some kind of competition or, a marathon or something else, right? So there are levels of athletics. There are levels of engagement in anything. And that's also true, actually, of Islam, of our religion. There are levels of engagement. And unfortunately, my own conclusions after whatever years I've tried to understand this religion is that actually we take people that are at the most advanced levels and that are really way up there, and we make it sound like the requirements that they've met and the training that they have and the exercises that they do are expected from the rest of us. Like we're supposed to be like them. It's like the guy who just went to shoot some hoops being expected to meet NBA standards. That's what we do with Islam often. To give you a small example of that, spending in the path of Allah. I think you've probably all been subjected to one fundraiser or the other in your life. If you're a Muslim and you're in any way related to the Muslim community, then fundraisers are a part of your experience. And if you've been at a fundraiser, then of course, to encourage people to give, we give stories of our beloved companions, and when we give the companion stories about how giving they were, we start with the story of Umar bin al-Khattab, who was ready to give half of his assets, he was ready to give away for the cause of Allah. And even that was outdone by who? I think you've heard this enough times so you know. Who was it outdone by? Abu Bakr, who gave what? Everything. And now we begin, who's going to give 50,000? Right? So we start with Umar, which is the minimum is what? Half. And then Abu Bakr, if you really mean business and everything, what you got now? Now, what are you going to shell out? Now, the problem with that narrative, and those are our heroes, and they are our role models. We take nothing away from them. But the problem is, there are thousands of companions. There's not 2 of them, there are thousands of them. And even in the early stages, there are dozens of them, if not hundreds of them. And those hundreds of people also spent in the path of Allah. But they didn't spend half, and they didn't spend all. They spent whatever they could. And some gave very small percentages of what they owned, and some gave others, and some had other obligations, and some were not at the level of sacrifice. Not every companion was Umar, and not every companion was Abu Bakr. But when we repeat those 2 stories over and over and over again, then in the mind and the psyche of an average Muslim, you know what settles in? Man, those people were awesome. We suck. We're never going to be even close to it. Forget it. Whatever I give probably doesn't even count much anyway, because it ain't half and it ain't everything. You understand? So we set the bar overly high, even though that is not what is expected in the religion itself. It is the standard of the highest accomplishing people. To give you a silly sports analogy, an athlete that has broken all records, and constantly, whenever you play, you're compared to MSA. You haven't even done what LeBron's done. Yeah, he's like half jinn. Why are you expecting that from me? You know, it's an unrealistic set of expectations. You with me so far? Okay, so that's my first problem, is setting the right kinds of expectations. By the way, there are people in every community that excel in anything in life. They're like in studies. All of you, and most of you are college students. So some of you are going to be doing okay, surviving. Some of you are going to be, B's or A's, kind of stuff, some A's, and you go to Aurora to celebrate because you got an A there somewhere. And some of you are you're all A's, and if you go to an A minus, you're suicidal. And then some of you are like that, right? But they're not all the same. There are variations, and those variations will always exist, even in the Ummah when it comes to our spirituality, comes to our purification, that's always going to be there. There are going to be people, no matter how much they pray, no matter how much they recite, no matter how many acts of worship they do, acts of charity they do, no matter how much kindness they demonstrate to others, they're still going to feel like they haven't done enough. And they're going to feel like they're worth nothing. And you look at those people and they say, you feel like you're worth nothing? I must be like less than nothing. And you start comparing yourself to these people that are so indulged, mashallah, and have such high standards. You have people that are at Fajr every morning at the masjid. There are people like that. And they get really depressed if they got there after the Imam had already said Allahu Akbar. Because they never miss the Imam. They get really depressed. And then there's you, who showed up to the masjid once by accident. Like in the last 3 semesters. And you got there right before the Imam said Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. And then you posted caught masjid and caught Fajr at the masjid. It's 2 different standards. They're not the same standard, right? So there are going to be these variations. But what I want to, now let's step back and just talk about what Allah's Messenger said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and what we've done. Again, this is my own personal analysis. You don't have to accept it. But this is where I am at this point. And I continue to learn and try and understand. But this is where I am at this point. Spirituality and purification, becoming a better believer, becoming closer to Allah in our religion, fundamentally is not complicated. It is not 1,000 different things you must do. It is not some exhaustive manual of these intricacies on top of intricacies. It's not some obscure text on top of another obscure text, on top of another obscure text, until you go through the texts on this, you ain't never going to be pure, my friend. What? You're trying to purify yourself, and you haven't even gone through these 7 manuals? With 500 bullet points each? How are you going to be? You're so impure, like contaminated. That is not actually the original intent of our religion, nor was our religion ever this complicated. Nor was it ever this complicated. We have to have a clear picture of what our religion originally came with. It's a very simple, straightforward, beautiful religion. Yes, there are people who want to reach higher and higher and higher levels. And they say, what more can I do? What more can I do? What more can I do? And a lot of these manuals of spiritual purification, they were actually developed for those kinds of people that want to do more and more and more and more and more. And now, we've taken those same manuals and made them the bare minimum of what it means to be a good Muslim. Right? So it's, in my estimation, Allahu Ta'ala, it's kind of unfair. It's kind of overbearing, and it kind of makes the average believer feel they're never going to get there. They're never going to be there. So I'm going to break a few of those stereotypes, inshallah, and then talk about how the Quran and how the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to purify, what it means to be purified, and how you and I are supposed to be on a lifelong journey of purification. First and foremost, let's start with the greatest generation, as-sabiqun as-sabiqun, ulaika al-muqarrabun. And then those who came after them, the first generation, the companions, about whom Allah says Allah is happy with them and they are pleased with Allah. Radiyallahu anhum wa radu anhum. That first generation. That first generation, we almost think of them, if you don't use Islamic terminology, we almost think of those incredible companions of the Prophet, we think of them as saints. We think of them as almost above human in their spiritual height and their accomplishment. What we lose sight of is actually an analytical study of history. These were amazing people, no doubt, but they had struggles just like you and I did. They were human beings. They did not have wings on their backs. They did not hover. They didn't have tables on top of their heads. They didn't. Let me tell you some things about Medina you might not know. The society in Medina was pretty rough. Right now it's at Medina to Munawwara, Medina Sharif, Medina Park, MashaAllah, Medina, etc., etc. Back then, people said, Medina, what? You go to party? You go to Medina. Medina was not a spiritual city when the Prophet moved there, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Not by a long shot. Not by a long shot. I'll give you one story to put things in perspective. A companion comes to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who's from Mecca. He's got financial hard times. So he's not doing well, and he's basically homeless because he left his home back in Mecca, and he's barely getting by in Medina, and he gets a marriage proposal from a woman who works in Medina, and she wants to marry him. And he came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, can I marry this woman? What does she do? Oh, she's a prostitute. You want to marry a prostitute? Yeah, she makes good money. He had no idea that that was a bad idea. They had no baggage. They had no concept of, when we think of the institution of marriage, when we think of, the evil of prostitution from a moral standpoint, zina and all of that, these Sahaba they had no orientation, none. He didn't even think that was a bad idea when he brought it to the Prophet ﷺ. And then ayat came down from Surah An-Nur prohibiting believers to engage in marital relationships with those who engage in that kind of behavior. That you can't marry them. Like that had to be, it wasn't obvious to them. It wasn't obvious. This is a big one, and it wasn't obvious. There were actually homes in neighborhoods in Medina, like Imam Ibn Ashur, rahimahullah, he comments in his Tafsir al-Tahrir wa Tanbih on Surah An-Nur, he mentioned the alamat. They used to actually have red flags on homes in neighborhoods indicating that there's a prostitute here if they're interested. That was Medina. That was Medina. This is the neighborhoods in which the companions lived and struggled. Among other experiences, I'm just sharing one or two things with you. Gambling was rampant, prostitution was rampant, relationships outside of marriage were very common and had to be commented on in the Quran. As a matter of fact, one of the scariest things you'll read in Surah An-Nisa, which is an early Madani surah. So the Muslims have just moved to Medina, they're kind of turning into a community, and Allah Azza wa Jalla talks about how men and women cannot have relations outside of marriage. He reveals this, yeah? Even though he's talked about lewdness and shamelessness before, and Surah Al-Furqan and Surah Al-Isra have mentioned zina, la taqrabu zina innahu kana fahishatan wa sa'a sabila. He's mentioned this. Don't go near zina, don't go near adultery, fornication. It's always been a terrible evil thing. That's been revealed only twice thus far in previous revelations in the Quran. Now they move to Medina, and Allah says something absolutely shocking. This ayah is considered mansukh. We won't go into the technicalities, but to give you perspective. If there are two people that have committed that sinful act, and they both belong to you, in other words, they're both Muslim. Hold on a second. Two Muslims in Medina at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, and they did that? Not possible? Yep. That's why it's being talked about in the Quran. Even that happened. Even that happened. And then what should you do if that happens? Allah is being realistic. There are people that are not there yet spiritually. There are people that are still, they just came into Islam, but their entire worldview hasn't changed. An entire community has to be transformed. Listen, changing one person's views on things, transforming one person completely takes time. Can you imagine transforming a community? An entire city? It's no small task. So two people have committed the sin. Two young people. What does the Quran say you should do? Some people think the punishments came, stone them to death, whip them, etc., etc. That wasn't the first thing revealed, because these people were on their way to being spiritually cleansed. So the first revelations on the subject were فَآذُوهُمَا, cause them both pain. That's the language of the Quran. Cause both of them pain. Hurt them in some way. But Allah didn't say how you hurt them. So the companions started trying to figure this out themselves. What does it mean, hurt them? Should we do? Should we slap them? There's literally conversations among companions recorded in our tradition. Should we slap them? I got an idea. We should yell at them. Shame on you! Shut up! But that's what you should do. Like, you should do that, and that's how you hurt them. And then one companion came up with the idea we should make them lie down, and we should grab a stick, and we should hit the bottom of their feet. Because they're not sure what it means. But then once you're done hurting them and whatever with words, يعني فَزَجِرُوهُمَا كما قال بعض الصحابة. Some Sahaba said, just yell at them. Just give them a good old-fashioned yelling. That's what Quran is saying. That was the early way of dealing with these people because they're on their path to being purified. They're not there yet, right? But if they do fine, you yell at them and they say, okay, it's never going to happen again. Tawbah, astaghfirullah. They're tawbah. They both make tawbah. And they reform themselves. Then what do? فَأَعْرِضُوا عَنْهُمَا. Leave them alone. Ignore them. Don't ostracize them. Don't come after them. Just leave them alone. Let them be. Don't let this mistake haunt them for the rest of their lives. What a realistic religion. This is a realistic religion. Yes, it's a grave sin. Yes, it's a huge thing in the sight of Allah. Absolutely. That is true. One that does it should not actually ever diminish the gravity of the sin that they've committed. But as a community, if you're going to give people a road so they can cleanse themselves again, you don't take their hope away. You don't do that to them. You leave them alone. They've been told, they've been yelled at, move on with life. Why shouldn't you leave them alone? Allah has always been one that continually accepts repentance, and the implication there is, Allah accepts when you repent, why shouldn't He accept when they repent? Why do you think there should be a double standard for them? Just because you look down on them, Allah is not looking down on them. Allah keeps the door of cleansing open. And so now, with this little bit of background, I want to share with you, what are some basic fundamentals that you and I can, inshallah, implement in our lives to get to a point where we are on the road to being cleansed. Okay? As far as I've been able to understand it, Allah Ta'ala, tazkiyah, or purification, is made up of two parts. You can break it up, slice it two ways. One of those is intellectual. It has to do with how you think, how you process things, your attitudes towards things, how you analyze reality around you. You have to cleanse the way you think. That's what the Quran wants. And as the indication of that in the Quran actually is over and over again. The Quran complains, why don't you, or don't you think? Thinking is actually a big deal in the Quran. And thinking doesn't just mean thinking in any which way, having the right approach to thought, having the right approach to any problem. For example, to give you an example of what does it mean to cleanse our thinking? Somebody came to me after Jumu'ah today, and they said, I have a friend who drinks only a little bit. He drinks only a little bit. And he says, well, he doesn't get drunk, and even if it is a sin, it's not a big sin because he doesn't get carried away, he's not an addict, he's not a drunkard. So yes, it's bad, but it's not that bad. Right? So what should I argue back with? Can you tell me a hadith or an ayah or some evidence so I can slap it on his face and then he knows that it's bad? There's a problem, there's a thought process problem. You see, what the Quran says is that alcohol, among other things, wine, alcohol, any intoxicant is it's an abomination, it's an evil thing from the work of the devil. That's the Quran's description of alcohol or wine or any intoxicant. An abomination from the work of the devil. That's how the Quran describes it. It doesn't describe it as haram.
It'll be fixed by tomorrow.
Haram means what? Forbidden. Pigs are not described as an abomination from the work of the devil. So you don't see a pig like Pakistan, you go, it's fine. Pigs are not evil, they're not from the devil, they're just haram to eat. Okay, so relax. Allah made them. Okay? But when it comes to intoxicants, they're not just called impermissible, they're called evil. They're actually called evil. And the Prophet would go out of his way, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and say, you can't even touch the bottle. Forget drinking, you can't even touch it. But if you're in a store at a 7-Eleven or something, and there's this drink you want to drink, there's a beer in front of it, you shouldn't touch it. Go to some other store. That's how serious it is. That's how evil we consider it. It's got spiritual consequences. Now, this person who says, I drink a little bit, to him, this is a bad thing. Allah says this is bad, but if you take a little, it ain't that bad. Well, it's satanic, but a little bit, it's just a little bit satanic. The correct thought process is, if your crime, actually I would argue for the person who drank that little bit, their crime is not that they're drinking a little bit. That's actually a smaller crime. Your crime is that you don't think it's a big deal. That's actually the bigger crime. The way you think about it is a problem. Because Allah asks you to think about it one way, and you refuse to think about it that way, and you're thinking about it your own way. You don't think the way Allah wants you to. You see? So we focus ourselves on the act, not the attitudes that are in the source code of that act, behind that act. That's the first step in purification. How do we arrive at conclusions? How do we think about our religion? How do we think about this? I'll give you another contemporary example. Some teenage girl came to me, and she said, is talking to boys haram? Is talking to boys, is listening to music haram? And then she said, my mom says I can't listen to music. So if I don't listen to my mom, is that haram? So she threw the word haram in like 30 seconds. I lost count. I was trying to count. She thought I was doing the speed. I was actually counting the number of times she was using the word haram. Right? And it became very clear from that brief conversation that in her mind, this religion is made up of what? It's just a list of harams. It's a list of prohibitions. What can I not do? And every time I have to ask a question about this religion, I should probably ask if that's haram. That's her view of this religion. It's a set of prohibitions. It's just there to put cages on you over and over and over and over and over again. Right? And this is actually a problem of mindset. The prohibitions in the Quran are extremely rare. In the entire Quran, prohibitions are very, very, very few. And to talk about prohibitions in a comprehensive way, what does Allah say? يُحَرِّمُ عَلَيْهِمُ الْخَبَائِثَ. Allah prohibited, made haram, filthy things. Allah made filthy things haram. Most of the world around you, the things you have around you are not filthy. It's filthy things that have been made haram. So now, how do I try to begin to fix that thought process? Try to cleanse, purify that thought process. Allah gave this religion not to put chains on you, but to remove chains from you. He wanted you, for example, if I said to the girl, are you allergic to anything? She said, peanuts. I said, here, I think I have some peanuts. No, I can't have it. Why? It's haram. Where does it say things are haram? She was not haram. I was like, so have some. Well, if it's not haram, I can do it, right? You can do it. Just do it. Do it. Do it. No, I can't do it because I'm going to die. So sometimes things aren't haram, but they're a bad idea. Is that okay with you? That makes sense to you? The entire religion is not a list of harams. There are certain things Allah does not make haram, but He certainly lets you know that's a bad idea. That's not wise. The religion is also full of wisdom. Your entire life, and by the way, if you want to put it in outside of religious terminology, let me frame it to you another way. Prohibitions are laws. Right? This is permissible, this is not permissible. It's like saying this is legal and this is not legal, isn't it? And laws are black and white. So long as you're following the black and white instructions, you should be fine. But you know what? You guys know in life, nothing gets accomplished if you just follow the letter of the law. On top of that letter of the law, on top of the policies, there's advice. For example, in order to graduate from college, there are certain policies and procedures you must follow. But in order to succeed in life and succeed in college, you better take advice from mentors, from professors, from alumni, from people that know better than you. That goes far beyond the college manual of requirements. You understand? Because that's not how life works. Your mother is trying to give you advice, and you're saying, is that legal or illegal? Advice goes above and beyond the minimal legal requirements. Our religion has been reduced to just a legal code, which it is not. The entire religion of Islam, when we talk about it as a bunch of haram things or halal things or halal things, we're reduced the entire religion of Islam to something legal. And yet the Quran, one of its most common descriptions of itself, is actually maw'idah, hikmah, wisdom, counsel, advice. Advice is not legal. Advice is actually, this is what's good for you. This is what will benefit you. Allah, as I was mentioning in the khutbah today. Allah just intends to lighten your burden. He wants to make things easier on you. This is the first part of cleansing our thoughts. And that only happens, in my view, I have a skewed view. In my view, the best way to cleanse your thoughts is a rigorous and continuous, part-time even, a rigorous and continuous study of two things, a study of the Quran a thought-provoking study of the Quran, and a thought-provoking study of the life of the Prophet ﷺ, it will start cleaning the way you think. Okay? I said seerah on purpose. I didn't say hadith. Hadith is actually isolated statements of our beloved Messenger ﷺ without necessarily full due to the context in which they occur. Right? But when you study seerah, you're studying not just hadith, but you're putting those things in a context. You're putting them as part of the whole picture. You're getting the whole story, right? And that is far more important for you to develop the right kind of thinking. Okay? So that's the next part of this is the right question. No, that's the next part. But the first part was cleansing our thought process. And for that, again, my recommendation of a study of the Quran along with a study of the life of the Messenger. You can take your time, do a little at a time, but be rigorous. Inshallah, and ask questions, be inquisitive. Before I go on to the second part, I will say one more thing about our religion and being inquisitive. Usually, religions are associated with you not being able to ask questions, and if you ask questions, you get in trouble. Okay? Because it's haram to ask questions, or it's blasphemous, or it's astaghfirullah al-azim, how could you ask that? And we created a culture in which it's almost taboo to say, I don't get it. This doesn't make sense to me. Can you help me understand this better? Because you're a bad person, you're probably possessed by a jinn or something. Go make wudu and pray 2 rak'ah and then get your grandmother to pull something on you or something because you're asking questions. Let me tell you, our religion is so deeply rooted in asking questions, and if there is a religious teacher, a scholar, an imam, somebody who has a problem with you asking a question, the problem doesn't lie with you, it lies with them. Honestly. That's the fact of it. Let me give you just one example of that, because again, if I'm saying thought process, you cannot develop the thought process without asking questions. You can't. You have to be inquisitive. You have to be critical. You have to be constantly asking questions to better understand, to better grasp. My favorite example of that is Adam alayhi salam. The story of Adam alayhi salam, I think most of you are familiar with the story. In Baqarah, the narrative of Adam alayhi salam's story is very unique. When he was created, Allah made an announcement to all of the angels. Now, what do you know about angels in Islam that's different from the biblical narrative? You probably know angels never disobey Allah. They don't disobey Allah in anything He commands them, and they do what they're told. Right? So angels are incapable of saying or defiance or disobedience to God. Can I hear everybody? Okay. Now, with that premise, let's move forward. Allah creates Adam and says, I'm going to put him on the earth. Angels pose a question. Are you going to put someone on the earth? Angels ask the question, are you going to put someone in it that will cause corruption and spill blood? Who are they asking about? Adam. They're saying he's going to be corrupt, he's going to make corruption happen, and he and his children, and he's going to spill blood, meaning humanity will spill blood. Who are they asking? They're asking Allah. They're asking Allah, Ya Allah, great decision. On the earth, yeah. But what about corruption and killing? I don't get it. How dare you ask the Shaykh? Hold on a second. How dare the angels ask who? Allah. And you already know angels never disobey Allah, yes? Angels are in complete subservience to Allah. What does that suggest? Angels are in a position to ask questions to Allah, and that is not considered disobedience. It's not considered disrespect. As a matter of fact, Allah elaborately explained His response to them later on in the story. So how in the world does anybody else come along and say, you have no right to ask me a question? That doesn't exist in this movie. It's been shattered from the very beginning of the book. You have to be inquisitive. And that's not defiant. By the way, there's a way in which it's not just a question, it's the attitude with which you ask the question. That's where the problem lies. You're not allowed to just ask questions however you want. There's an attitude that comes with it. Now, the first part of cleansing was thought process. The second part, to help you understand this attitude piece, is actually a spiritual cleansing. So it's purifying the mind was the first part, and purifying the heart is the second part. Okay, purifying the mind was the first, purifying the heart is the second. And this is actually where things get pretty fuzzy for a lot of people. If you really want to purify your heart, here's a manual that you will do these things, And once you do that, you shall have a purified heart. And unfortunately, too often, if you compare these manuals, these elaborate manuals, and they're beautifully written, they really are. If you compare them to what Allah says about how the prophets behave, you'll find the prophets asking people throughout the Quran. What Allah's prophets are asking people is very simple, very few things. It's like not an exhaustive list. And what these manuals are asking you to do, the elaborate kind of practices you're being asked to do are far more complicated. And you get this very drastic, different picture of what the most purified of people, prophets, are preaching and asking people to do, and what sometimes we attribute to true spirituality. Yes, at a higher level, that may be true. But we're talking about what the prophets thought, والسلام, it was good enough to be in the Quran. It was good enough to be a role model for our messenger, sallallahu. It was good enough to blanket the entire world. It was good enough for that. That should be good enough for us. And Allah says when He purifies them. How does He purify them? Here's the thing. Simple tasks our religion asks. If you want to purify your hearts, there are just a couple of things that go with it. The first of them is sincere worship. The first and foremost is sincere worship. And at the top of sincere worship is the establishment of prayer. Something repeated and emphasized in the Quran over and over and over and over and over again. You know what happens? We don't give prayer its due. We don't give it its due. And therefore we don't see the best spiritual benefits our heart should receive from prayer. And because there's a void, now we ask what other obscure mystical exercises can be engaged in to fill that void. If that exercise was good enough for Allah's messengers, if it was good enough for that, it's good enough for us. 10 minutes, I got you. That's pretty good. Okay, I'll tell you why prayer is good enough. I'll just give you one more example of why prayer is good enough. And if you walk away with nothing else, folks, if you want to be spiritually in a better place, just take care of your salahs. Just take care of it. And you'll be fine. You know, our entire religion centers around Ibrahim alayhi salam. And Ibrahim alayhi salam, his great accomplishment after all of his spiritual trials was he got to build the Kaaba. And when he got to build the Kaaba, what was the purpose of the Kaaba? So people could do what? Pray, man. Just pray. The entire struggle of the Prophet's life, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the whole mission of the Prophet it reaches final culmination. And the Prophet's mission is finally complete when he's able to cleanse the house built by his father Ibrahim. So people can do what? Pray. When the Kaaba is cleansed, and people can actually pray again. Prayer is the beginning, middle, and end of this religion. That's what it is. Our religion is rooted in prayer. Those 5 prayers are not a nuisance. They're your savior. They're your savior. Now, just to give you some perspective on prayer and how powerful, spiritually powerful it is. I don't think, I haven't come across a more powerful example in the Quran. I'm sure there is one, I just haven't found it yet. One of the most remarkable spiritual stories in the Quran is when Musa gets to speak to Allah. Okay? So Moses on the mountain. Right? So Musa alayhi salam is up on the mountain, in Surah Taha, and he is actually engaged in conversation with God directly. It's the most beautiful, intimate conversation. It's got the funniest moments, it's got the moments that make you cry, and it's this epic moment in human history. A man speaks with God. It's an incredible thing. Now, to put it in perspective a little bit. Sometimes you meet somebody important. You get to meet the President of the United States. You get to meet some celebrity. You get to meet some famous athlete, somebody. And when you meet them, it becomes a memory imprinted on your mind. As a matter of fact, now it doesn't even have to be a memory imprinted on your mind, you probably got a selfie. Right? And you are going to post it, and you're going to put it as a background on your phone, and you make sure you show people, because this is how you are worth something as a human being, because you have a picture next to this famous person. Right? And you shook their hand, whatever. Okay? So people make it a big deal when they get to meet somebody important, isn't it? Now, who is Musa alayhi salam getting to meet? Allah. He's getting to have a conversation with Allah. Like, that's one of those things that, you know, when you start a conversation, you meet somebody, hey, what's your name? Hey, my name's Benny. I'm not the president. Like, if you just gotta slip it in. Like, there's one thing, not only will you never forget, you'll never forget to remind others. By the way, spoke to God. Like, it's a thing. You'll never forget. But Musa spoke remarkably, as he engaged in conversation with Allah like no other human being before him. No other human beings had this opportunity, and he's told, if you really still want to truly remember me, establish prayer to remember me. In one of the most spiritually intimate moments between a human being and God, God says to this human being, if you truly want to engage me in remembrance, establish prayer. I don't know what else can tell you what the value of prayer is. What else can give you that perspective? Don't underestimate the spiritual power of prayer. Don't underestimate the damage of skipping prayer. As spiritually powerful it is, when you violate it, when you sleep through it, when you're neglectful in it, when you're not engaged in it, when you're not humble in it, it damages you. Because when you take care of it, it takes care of you. When you violate its rights, it hurts you. It hurts you. This is the first spiritual exercise, and I couldn't possibly emphasize it. The second part of your cleansing, spiritual cleansing, is company. Who are the people around you? Are those people making you a better believer? Are they making you more truthful? Are they making you more courteous? Are they making you cleaner in your language, your use of language? Are they encouraging you to do better things? Are they encouraging you to think higher? Are they making you a more patient person? Are they making you more truthful, more honest? Or when you're around them, the worst of you comes out. Your moral standards just drop. Dirtier and dirtier jokes are just coming out of your mouth. You know, you're going to more and more questionable establishments. Is that the case? Because you could be praying, but when your company's messed up, you ain't going nowhere. You're not going anywhere. Be in good company. And if you can't be in good company, then be by yourself. But at least don't be in bad company. Don't be company that takes you down a bad path. Okay? And don't think that you're there to save anybody. Like I was saying in the khutbah today, not many of you were there. You know, you join the company and you feel like you're going to be there to help them. Listen, if you're the only one, it's the other way around. They're going to start influencing you. Your moral standards will start decreasing. You have to first of all fortify yourself before you think about saving others. This is really important for you to internalize. So I mentioned two things so far as our spiritual cleansing is concerned, our prayer and our company. Those are two pretty basic fundamentals. For men in particular, I would argue for women also, based on my own studies. We can discuss that in private. I believe if you can make it to masjid at Fajr and Isha, it would do wonders for your life. I mean, the peace you will feel, the spiritual empowerment you're going to feel is like nothing else. You can't compare it to anything. There were women at the time of the Prophet ﷺ who used to say that in order to get to the masjid, we leave in the middle hours of the night, and we have to walk through mud to get there. And their mud is basically sewage. They don't have like underground sewage, it's overground sewage. So they have to literally walk through feces, their clothes up to ankles get dirty, and then they get to the masjid. Should we still come to pray Fajr? And the Prophet told the women, yeah, come because the rest of the way, when you're past the sewage, we'll dry it up and it'll be cleansed. You should still come. That was the encouragement to engage the house of Allah. Notice the houses of Allah, the masajid, the way Allah planned them to be, they're not elaborate structures with a lot of bells and music or anything. It's a quiet, serene place where you just leave the world behind. You just leave it behind. And it's beautiful that you get to relive the story of Musa when you take your shoes off. Take your shoes off. That's what Allah told Musa. You're meeting God, so take your shoes off, So you get to relive that when you go. So don't underestimate, you might have a little tiny basement mosque or something, or a little house turned into a masjid. Don't underestimate the value of those homes. Those are homes where spiritual light exists. That's what Allah describes in Surah Al-Mulk. So I've talked about prayer, I've talked about company. I'll give you one last thing, inshallah, as far as spiritual cleansing is concerned, and that is take care of the fundamentals. Take care of the fundamentals. I'm talking about elaborate stuff. What does the fundamentals mean? Fundamentals means there are some basic obligations you have as a Muslim. Fundamental obligations. You guys know you're supposed to pray 5 times a day. You know you're supposed to do certain things. And they're pretty basic. They're not elaborate. And there are some basic prohibitions. There are certain things that are actually haram. They're actually haram. Stay away from them, please. If you can do that much, if you can just stay away from the basic prohibitions and do the basic goodness, and by the way, in terms of goodness, what you owe to Allah more than anything else is your prayer. Other than that, a few things He forbade you to do, you don't do those. But most of the obligations are actually towards others. Your spiritual purification, when I talk about the fundamentals, let me list a few things here so you know what I mean by the fundamentals. Prayer is at the top of it, spiritually speaking. Your relationship with your parents is up there. It's a fundamental in Islam. You know, Quran Allah makes it right after His own rights. Right? So how well you can have your relationship and how well you can maintain your relationship with your parents is really high up there. I don't have much time, but I should say at least some reality check. Not everybody can have the same kind of relationship with their parents. Sometimes parents are abusive. Sometimes parents themselves are a source of a lot of grief. That happens too. And Islam is not saying that you have to be awesome to your parents while they're kicking you in the face. That's not what Islam is saying. Islam is saying be the best you can be given your circumstances. Okay? Sometimes your circumstances just don't allow it. I have a very close friend of mine, very dear to me, whose mother has a very serious problem. She's extremely abusive. And she was so abusive that he actually started having epileptic seizures. Because of the verbal abuse his mom does to him. He had to go into therapy. Every time he sees her, he actually starts convulsing. So for him, not seeing his mother is the best he can do. That's the best he can do. And that's a situation we have to respect that. It's not one cookie-cutter solution in our religion. Based on your reality, what is the best that you can do? That is a conscious question you have to ask yourself. Don't do a cop-out. Say, well, you know, my mom keeps telling me to leave my room, and I have seizures, and that's why I don't do that. Don't do that, but be honest with yourself. Your relationship with your parents, your relationship with your spouse, your relationship with your children, and so these basic family relationships, big deal in Islam. Big deal. Relationship with God is fortified by prayer and staying away from prohibitions. Relationship with immediate family, huge deal in Islam. That's a very big thing in our religion. And then finally, money matters. If you want to talk about spiritual purification, you cannot ignore the value of money. How you make it, where you spend it. How you make it and how you spend it. That is absolutely fundamental spirituality. One of the most amazing things about that, and a lot of people don't talk about, is actually, the ayat of Ramadan. Allah is supposed to be the super spiritual one for the Muslims. Yes, you guys know that. As soon as the ayat of Ramadan are done, the first lesson, now that you've been cleansed, purified spiritually, what's the first thing Allah said? وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا أَمْوَالَكُمْ بَيْنَكُمْ بِالْبَاطِلِ وَلَا تَبْغُوا بِهَا إِلَى الْحُكَّامِ لِتَأْكُلُوا فَرِيقًا مِنْ أَمْوَالِ النَّاسِ بِالْإِثْمِ. Don't consume each other's money wrongfully. Don't be praying tahajjud and fajr in the masjid and then stroll into the office and you're supposed to be writing code or finishing the accounting project and you're sitting there watching Quran weekly videos or something. That's not Islamic. That is a fundamental spiritual violation. You are there to do work, you do it. That's a fundamental of your religion. It's a spiritual obligation to be honest in your workplace. It's a spiritual obligation to fulfill your contracts and to actually earn every penny that you make. To earn it with honest work, and to not do cop-outs, to not go around. This is absolutely fundamental. People don't talk about that. When we talk about spirituality, we talk about spiritual things, and we think our actual financial family dealings have nothing to do with it. They do. They are at the heart of it. They are so at the heart of it, It's so, I didn't emphasize the other, because my time is up, I didn't emphasize family relations as much. I'll tell you one thing since we were on Ramadan, which is our spiritual month. What does Allah do? Allah talks about fasting, and how you have to observe your fast, and in the middle of that conversation, you make sure you have a lot of intimacy with your spouse. This is a month in which you're trying to get closer to God, but also use this month to get closer to your spouse. SubhanAllah. It's incredible. Why would he do that? You know? He didn't just say, just go to the next subject. No. Oh my goodness. He goes on and on, not within the ayat of Ramadan. Why? Because our spirituality is directly connected to all of the other relationships, the close relationships that we have. It's an absolutely beautiful religion. It is. It really is. And purification is not hard. Take care of these fundamentals, and then the icing on the cake, the additional embellishments, they will come. Inshallah. But if you don't focus on what is first priority, you're never going to. And you're going to overlook. The last comment, I know my time is up. The last comment I'll share with you is the biggest problem in a faith community when it comes to purification, or to refine ourselves, better ourselves. You know what I like to call a sense of proportion. Okay, a sense of proportion. You have, I'll give you a college analogy. You have a syllabus or a curriculum, and there are requirements for passing a particular class. Yeah. And your exam, it counts for a certain percentage, and the homework assignments count for a certain percentage, the term paper counts for a certain percentage, and then there are extra credit assignments, right? Now, if you have a student who spends all of their energy on the extra credit assignments, while ignoring the fundamental attendance requirements, term paper requirements, exam requirements, and then they show up before the professor with excellent extra credit work, what are they going to be? A failure. Like a whopping failure. You understand? If you start worrying about this extra spiritual stuff in the name of Islam, but the fundamentals get totally overlooked, which so many people are guilty of. So many people are guilty of. You know, then you are a complete failure, unfortunately, because you didn't approach the subject properly. I pray Allah Azza wa Jalla gives all of us an opportunity to every single day better ourselves in terms of our cleansing. May Allah Azza wa Jalla never make us assume that we are righteous or purified in any way. Don't consider yourself purified. You know who properly has consciousness of Allah. He's the one who knows. May Allah not make us judge other people and their levels of spirituality and keep us away from passing judgment on others. Jazakumullah khairan so much for listening so patiently. Barakallahu fikum. Assalamu alaikum.
Just notice that he had shoes off. Just not all there. It's not time for the excellent talk. That's awesome. All right, guys. So the next item on our agenda is a series of workshops, but we do have a few announcements and a little bit of changes to make to them. So I'm going to invite the programming head for this conference. Ahmed. I heard last name's Ali. Siblings.
Assalamu everyone. All right, so I need everyone got one of these, right? It's beautiful, it's lovely, it's gonna get you through the weekend. I need everyone to open it up to their workshop page, or the page for the first workshop session. I want to just give you all a heads up on a couple of changes. So the first thing, unfortunately, the workshop on Hasad and the Big Three is canceled for tonight. So make note of that. Don't make plans to go to it. We really apologize for the inconvenience. There was a last-minute cancellation with some of our speakers this week. Please make dua for them. You know, make dua for their health, for their well-being, for their success. Inshallah. The next thing, so there's going to be some folks from the Cal Poly Slow MSA escorting everyone to the workshop rooms. They'll have posters ready. They'll say workshop number 1, 2, or 3, and they'll indicate what workshop they're leading you to. They're in the green scarves, not these ones. Green scarves. The room for the False Hope True Tawakkul workshop is not building 8, room 123. It's been moved to building 3, 213. The workshop Performance of Faith being given by, not Chef from Hamstopin, by the Stud Management Room is being given in Building 6, Room 124. And the workshop attachment to the Divine with the Stud Hassan will be given in here in Shimash Auditorium. So for those who want to attend that workshop, please stay in here. For the other two workshops, please make your way outside of the auditorium. But actually, wait, hold on, don't leave yet. We have a couple of logistics announcements. Sorry, I hand it back to Eliana.
Thank you. So the workshop guides will be standing outside with posters in the marketplace plaza outside. So please make your way there quickly so that you can get along with the right group and find the right room, especially as it's dark on campus. Also, the workshops are supposed to end around 10 p.m. and after that, everyone is going to join together for Isha prayer. That's in Baker Lawn, the same place where we had dinner, the same place where we prayed public. So please, right after the workshop is finished, join us for Isha prayer at the